Hey guys, Uncle Ray. Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Bellwether. I don't always tell you what you want to hear, but I tell you what you need to hear to make an informed decision. And in this video, we're going to dive into Stellar, HBAR, XRP, Quant, and a sleeper project that I found that are all trying to capitalize on the CBDC future that's coming down the pipe. And we all know that CBDCs are going to be a big part of crypto and Web3 and blockchain and everything else in the future. So we're going to dive into that, and I'm going to give you that sleeper that I'm excited to share with you guys, and I'm going to tell you my number one pick that I think will capitalize no matter how CBDCs end up being rolled out. I'm going to give you that one project, and as we go through them, we'll take a look at every one of them's chart. So let's get into it. Now, if you look on the screen, there's a website called the CBDCtracker.org. Guys, if you really want to dig into something, that website has a wealth of information. If you look on the screen, you can see pretty much almost every single country in the world is in some stage of at least researching a CBDC or launching one or pilot program or whatever. So if you want to do some deep dives, that's a good place to start. Anyway, let's take a look at Stellar. Now before we get into XLM, I got to tell you guys, Stellar is firing on all cylinders. Stellar doesn't have an army behind it, but I'm telling you, when you dive into all the relationships like MoneyGram that Stellar has and how they're helping to bank the unbanked, it is a great project. Now they have two big projects going on with CBDCs. You probably already are aware it's one of the first CBDC projects rolled out with Ukraine. Guys, that to me was a big statement for the world to see, and I think Stellar is going to capitalize of being one of the first to market. Now, I'm not talking about Ethereum and JP Morgan and all those guys' consensus, but right now, guys, there's no doubt that when it comes to CBDCs, the Ethereum blockchain is way out front. So I'm not even going to dive into those, but we're going to talk about who's trying to capture more and who specializes in that a little more in this video. Anyway, Stellar had the Ukraine connection, and then there is one of the biggest exchanges in Brazil is working with the central banks there to work with Stellar to create CBDCs. Now, when you look at this chart, guys, I think that there's a great opportunity with XLM. The only thing that I don't like about XLM as far as thinking there might be one of the best, which is what I'm looking for with my banking tokens, is there's not a lot of corporate money looking to get involved in XLM's ecosystem or anything like that. They have great partnerships with like MoneyGram. However, there's not a lot of big money flowing into that ecosystem. So that's what I prefer. Now, when you look on the chart, guys, I have no doubt if you're invested at a good price point with XLM, you're going to do well. Now, one thing that concerned me when I looked at this chart was that it shows that XLM didn't hit a new high in the last bull run, just like XRP. But if you've been paying attention, David Schwartz came out and said that actually Ripple's old high was a lot lower. It had been like, I don't know, 392, and the actual number was like 282, I believe. Well, and he talked about there's some illegitimate exchanges out there that had some funky numbers, and I think that's what happened with XLM. I don't think this is their old high. I actually think that they did hit a new high, and the reason I say that is if you look at the circulating supply which is a little concerning, but not a big deal, that they have their old high in 2018 at the very beginning of like 61 cents, and then they have the new high at, let's see, 71 cents in the last bull run. And I'm going to go with Masari, so I believe that's not a concern. However, I really think there's better places to park your money if you're not already invested in XLM, even though it's a great project. And one of those projects would be Hedera. Now, a lot of people don't think about CBDCs in HBAR, but here's what I'm going to tell you guys. The reason, for instance, Ethereum is dominating the CBDC market is because you have Consensus, JP Morgan, like with Quorum. They're out basically pushing to all their customers and all those banks around the world to come into their ecosystem, which their ecosystem is Ethereum. So they're corporations. See, guys, banks aren't sitting around contacting like Stellar Foundation, and Stellar Foundation doesn't have a big sales force. It's these major corporations that are basically doing consulting and pushing people into Web3, CBDCs, whatever it is. So you want to follow the corporations and whoever they have partnered with. Well, one of the biggest players pushing CBDC education, which is a tech company, basically a tech consulting company, and that is MTech. And MTech, basically all their deck stacks are built on Hedera. And if you go to mtech.com, which I've done a number of videos on, they're one of the biggest players helping central banks around the world to build out their infrastructure. And they have a great partnership with Hedera. And right now they're dominating like South Africa or Africa and like Ghana. And Ghana, guys, has a lot of money coming out of that part of Africa. And it looks like those CBDCs are going to be sitting on HBAR rails. And another thing is that MTech was part of the Council of the Digital Dollar. So they are a serious player. Now, when you look at the chart, guys, I got to tell you, and I'll do another independent video. I've been waiting on this, and I hate to say it, but I called it. You know, HBAR was down. I've been waiting. I want this low right here. It doesn't have to be that exact because there's a chance it can go lower. But we saw this little rally, how fast HBAR can run at the first of the year. Well, I honestly should have went ahead and sold a lot of my bag because I had decent profit, but I wanted to stack more because I have no doubt that HBAR is going to take out its old high changing gears, even though they have added a lot of supply. But when I look at this chart, guys, we're almost there. And if you look at it, we have broken 5 cents, and it's basically, there's no real support. I mean, there's support right here about 4 cents, which that's where I want to start stacking anywhere in 4 cents and under. Guys, to me, that is an absolute no-brainer. There are no guarantees in crypto, but guys, that's the closest thing to a guarantee you're probably going to get outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe Quant, of say a 15x, because that's what the numbers come out to. So anyway, I'm liking HBAR right here. I don't mean to get on a rant, but that is one of my favorites because of all the global corporations that are involved with HBAR. Now, there was some hype came out about Ripple's CBDC new, project or whatever you want to call it that Ripple is promoting. Now, guys, as you can see on this, in this report, it says Ripple's new CBDC play has no direct need for XRP. Now, that's one thing I want everyone to understand. when you hear Ripple and banks, 9 times out of 10, guys, you're only talking about a trickle down effect, because Ripple has a supply. Ripple has an entire sales force running around the world promoting stuff to banks. And banks go, well, I don't want to own XRP. Well, you don't have to. You can use ours. Well, I don't know how all that high-tech Web3 stuff, cross-border payments work. I don't really want to set our bank up that way. Hey, we got you. You can use our software. We'll do it for you. Well, what happens if my transactions don't make it? We've got insurance for that. We'll guarantee our transactions. So guys, that's how Ripple's set up. And just like this new service, it's basically, here's roughly their sales pitch, is Ripple goes to a central bank and says, look, we have the best rails, the best technology, etc. You should come take a look at our project. Well, we have this technology. It's called the XRP Ledger. We'll basically clone the exact technology that we use. Now, you don't have to use XRP. You can use your own token. You can customize it in any way possible. Now, if you want to incorporate one of the off rails, which there will be multiple, well, then you can use our ODL. But guys, when you dig into it, people promote this like it's extremely positive, and it is for Ripple. However, it's a very small trickle down, if anything, for the retail XRP holder, because no matter who builds on their CBDC on the new XRP Ledger clone, so to speak, doesn't mean they're going to use XRP at all. And really the only avenue would be an off ramp or an on ramp, which there's be a ton of competitors, and they may actually incorporate ODL, which again is a small trickle down to the retail investor, because the banks don't own or buy XRP, they just use Ripple's. So think about that, because a lot of people think that Ripple is going to dominate CBDCs, and if they do, we're not going to have much to show for it. Now, looking at the chart though, guys, you gotta love this. I own XRP for the trade. That's why I got into it. It's not a long-term hold. I don't believe the hype. I've done my homework. I understand how Ripple uses XRP. But I think it's one, I've been saying this since the beginning, it's one of the best trades you can get into. I started stacking somewhere around 20 cents. Now it's at 50. I still believe there's a good chance risk reward is outstanding even at 50 cents. If you buy at 50 cents, when that announcement comes out, I mean, there's no guarantees, but I'm thinking a 2, 3x, maybe a 5x, could be a 10x from 50 cents. So I don't think it's too late, but again, for me, I will be dollar cost averaging out after that announcement. It's not a long-term hold, but it is a great risk reward trade in my opinion, not financial advice. Now, guys, I got to tell you, no matter which way CBDCs end up, no matter if they need security, don't need security, if people want to use them or don't want to use them, no matter how it plays out, when you dive into it, they're going to need Quant. They're going to have that interoperability on those in and off ramps. No matter how it looks, it may not be Quant, and there may be another blockchain that can come through. You know, I know Link is somewhat a competitor, but here's the thing about Quant. It doesn't matter what interoperability or what connection they need. Quant's got them covered. And Gilbert Verdian, guys, he is a world beater, and he's setting the standard, and I would not be surprised whatsoever if Quant's code or whatever the standard is, that you have to use Quant with all CBDCs. I could be wrong, but that's his goal. I've read about it many times. He's looking to set the standard just like Ethereum did, and if you can do that, if you can pull it off, you will be the dominant player that takes advantage of CBDCs, and I think it's going to be Quant no matter what. Outside of, say, Ethereum. But even then, if Ethereum's going to be used, they're going to need Quant for the interoperability. Now, I've been waiting for Quant to be at $1 or under $1 for me to start stacking. I really want, and I know, guys, you can't pick the bottom, but I really want last year's low, like $45, $48, whatever it was. And when it got to right here, I really thought there was a chance. But I really think that at $100, anyone starts stacking Quant, dollar cost averaging under 100 is going to be great. But I really believe in the next couple of weeks that throughout the year, now they're starting to admit that we're entering a recession. Guys, we could have some pullbacks. Something could break in the economy, not only in the American economy, but in the global economy. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'll be happy, but I wouldn't be surprised if we can start stacking Quant somehow, some way back at about $50. Now, I don't know if you want to hold out that long because, like I said, the bottom could definitely be in with Quant. And it's close to $100. If anyone starts dollar cost averaging in at Quant at $100, they're going to be happy they did. But I want it lower personally before I start stacking more of my bag already on it. Now, let's get into the sleeper. Guys, this just came up totally from deep dives. This ECASH started popping up, and I'll give you an example. When I was reading articles like the one on the screen, they started talking about, and this is good news, they started talking about the problem with CBDCs is we're onto them, and we want privacy. They don't have the right to know what I've done, why I'm doing it, where that money comes from, and all that, and they've realized that. And now, believe it or not, they've came up with a conclusion that they can solve this problem with ECASH. And it's a very technical project, like it started with Bitcoin developers and Avalanche developers are involved. But Congress basically started looking at ECASH as the alternative, and they are pushing a act forward. Check this out, the ECASH Act. And when you read through that, this is great, and I hope this works out. They are basically trying to pass a bill, not an act, a bill, well, it was an act, that the U.S. Treasury will issue something like through ECASH, not the Fed. And I hope that has a big deal. It may not work out, guys. I don't know. But for a small percent of your portfolio, I think it looks good. That's my plan. I have no doubt I'm going to be stacking ECASH. And I highly recommend that you go take a look at their website, dig around. But now check this out, guys. What makes ECASH different from all the other digital currencies? Well, it's denominated in US dollars. And it's issued and guaranteed by the U.S. government. That is a big, big deal. It's available for retail use by the public. It's not reliant on a common ledger or a third-party payment processor. And then it's capable of being anonymous, offline, and peer-to-peer. It's basically the closest thing to cash that is being offered right now. Guys, you got to take a look at it. And if you want to, their website is e.cash. Go check it out. Surf around, guys. It's a pretty impressive project. Now, one thing I got to share with you real quick, and this is both good and bad. You look at this pump. When you go to Messari, guys, you want to learn about tokenomics. Messari is where it's at, and they matter, guys. They really do. But when you look at their all-time high of $41, basically the supply was pocket change, right? Well, then they started pumping. So their supply went from like well, it says even unknown, but you can, well, let's use this measurement. It went from like 50 million to 19, well, that can't be right. That has to be 19 million, I believe. I'm going to have to check that, guys. Sorry about that. But anyway, the circulating supply is out, right? And let me verify what that is. I don't know why that I didn't catch that before. The circulating, that is trillion. You know, guys, I didn't mean that. Let's forget that. I don't like that. I'm not going to get into it unless it's a small thing. Yeah, man, 21 trillion. That's worse tokenomics than Ripple, but in XRP. But anyway, yeah, I didn't catch that, guys. I didn't catch it. It was a trillion. Anyway, forget that ECASH. I'm not diving into it. It's just too much. I don't like the tokenomics. I'm out. You might still want to take a look at it. I apologize for wasting the last couple of minutes. Anyway, guys, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And either way, hit that like button and come back and be part of this community. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And again, I didn't realize the tokenomics were that bad, but I'm glad I caught it, because ECASH will not be for me, and I will be surprised if it makes a run up the chart, no matter how good this project may be with that supply. But who knows? All right, guys, that's all I got. Take care.